Asia Now is back for more from the Forbes Global CEO Conference here in Singapore, where it's all about navigating and leveraging changes in the global business environment. Well, earlier, CNA's Elizabeth Neo spoke with Magnus Grimeland, founder and chief executive officer of Antler, a Singapore-based business incubator and startup accelerator. And he talked about how conducive the city-state environment is for unicorns and startups.
You have all of the things people talk about all the time. It's like great rule of law, a lot of support from the government, a lot of great VCs being based there and all that type of stuff. But I think the number one reason why people headquarter their businesses here and set up here is the access to great people, right? So you have tremendous amount of incredible Singaporeans who are interested in the space, but you can combine that with bringing in the best people from abroad. And if you look at, let's say, unicorns in the US, actually 70% of the unicorns in the US has one second generation or first generation immigrant. So if you combine great local people with people from all across the globe, you actually have a much larger chance of building something truly global or regional, because you have this international thinking from day one. And there, you know, Singapore is a great hub, and they help enable that. And obviously through that, I think a lot of the founders who come there, including myself, hope to contribute back to the economy. And then you can serve all of Southeast Asia from here, right? It's so close to the rest of the region. And, you know, the last business I built here, we did that. So I built Zalora.com here, a big fashion e-commerce business. We served all of Southeast Asia plus Hong Kong and Taiwan out of here. We brought in really great people here, even if a lot of the people we were working with were in the rest of the region. And that's what we're now doing with Antler, just globally.
Well, we talked a bit about Antler also being involved in late-stage funding. So you're expanding from pre-seed to later-stage funding, so it's Series A onwards. Why the decision to do so? How much does the Elevate Fund expect to invest up ahead?
Yeah, so with Elevate Fund, which we just launched and announced, we can back founders all the way up to Series C, which means that we can lead their first round, their pre-seed round. We can be a co-investor in seed, Series A, Series B, Series C, alongside other great VCs. We're not really competing against other late-stage VCs, but we want to partake. I think there are two major reasons for this. Number one, it makes us even more attractive to great founders, right? So great founders are looking for investors who can be a long-term partner. If I just come in and invest in you one time, and then I say good luck, that's a very different experience that if I'm there investing in the first round, the second round, the third round, the fourth round, the fifth round. And it also makes other, I think, VCs more excited about investing into the portfolio, because we put our money where our mouth is. This is a great company that we'd like to support for the long term. And if we have great founders coming in, that affects the returns of the entire portfolio, right? Which brings me to the second point. It's also a great business opportunity, because we've now backed so many incredible founders here in the region and globally that, you know, not taking part in their subsequent round as they're growing and succeeding is an opportunity lost that we really wanted to take advantage of, so we can deliver strong returns back to our LPs.
Any particular region or sector you think could really benefit from, you know, the later stage funding?
Well, I think in general, the concept of backing a company through multiple rounds is true everywhere. Now, obviously, there are certain regions that you still have a developing later stage community. I think in Southeast Asia, that's grown a lot lately. You actually see that all across the globe, in India, in Africa, in South America as well. So I think, you know, it's not so much about filling a gap, it's more being a long-term partner to our founders. And then obviously we create a new opportunity also for other external companies to get backing from Antler that we didn't find from day one, but that we can back later on.
Do you foresee or are you experiencing any challenges in this part of late-stage funding, especially with the current macroeconomic climate?
Yeah, I was chatting to a lot of founders over the last couple of days there that I've been flying in, and you know, it's obviously trickier to raise capital now than it was, in 2020, 2021. What we see in our portfolio, it takes about 6 months longer. So it's not like great companies cannot raise capital, but they get access to capital a little bit later than they otherwise would have. So they need to think much more clearly about early profitability, which they should do anyways, to be honest, and also plan for a little bit longer runway.
So 2023 has been a pretty good year then. We saw kind of a slump last year, towards the end of last year when it came to capital investment after a boom the year before in 2021. So what is contributing to, that sort of high-low, and why is this year so much better, and why is it easier to find founders this year?
Well, so I think generally if you follow the trends long term, let's say over 100 years, like if you want to invest in new entrepreneurs over a 100-year period, it always gets better, right? Now, why does it always get better? Because the world is becoming more global, right? Look at the time it takes for a company to get to 50 million customers. It took the airline industry 68 years to get 50 million customers. It took Pokemon Go 14 days. It took, OpenAI, it took them 2 months to get 100 million customers. So you can serve the whole world out of anywhere now, whether you're a B2C business or B2B business. Cost of building has gone down. When we built Solora here, we had to build server parks, warehouses, logistics networks, payment systems. Now we can plug into APIs. Technologies are expanding rapidly than ever. We go a few hundred years back in time. 100 years will be defined by one innovation. Now one innovation will define the next 2 to 3 years, right? So you have 12, 13 technologies maturing at the same time. So from a long-term perspective, the opportunity to invest in innovation always gets better, and it leads to faster disruption. If you look at the world's 500 largest companies today, on average they're 17 years old. You go half a century back in time, on average they were actually half a century old. So like the biggest companies in the world are being disrupted faster than ever. So from a long-term perspective, it's the best time.
Just some of the interviews from our coverage of the Forbes Global CEO Conference here in Singapore, many with a focus on business. And don't forget, you can get business news anytime on our website, cna.asia.